everybody, welcome to FoundFlix. Comic-Con started today, and we're getting our first look at a lot of new trailers for exciting stuff that's coming real soon. And that includes the #1 horror show coming back this October. No, I'm not talking about Walking Dead. Get that shit out of here. I'm talking about Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. About a week ago, they dropped a small 30-second teaser that was really awesome and got me super excited. And yesterday, they dropped a 2.5-minute trailer giving us our first really good look at what to expect going into Season 2. I've already seen the trailer and I was super excited by what I saw, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do a video or not, but then my man George DLR, maybe George Dollar, requested it himself. And for those who don't know, he's the one that requested me to do the Krampus ending explained, and that bitch has 850,000 views now, so I'm gonna do whatever George Blur tells me to do. Alright, so I'm gonna be breaking down the trailer bit by bit and analyzing each piece, pausing it when I find something that I feel like I need to say about it. So let's go ahead and get started. We first see Jacksonville, an image from the Brujo dream that Ash had back in Season 1, and it's obvious that that's where Season 2 is going to pick up. We start off with what looks like a pretty intense scene, Ash wielding his chainsaw hand, and other people are there and they're screaming and everyone looks terrified. And we see that it's actually Ash using his chainsaw hand to cut open a keg of beer. Wow, what an ultimate party animal. So I like that it opens with this and it looks very intense, but it's actually just a joke kind of playing with what we would expect seeing going into the scene. Spring break! Everybody's loving it. And it looks like in Jacksonville, Ash has been able to completely escape, at least for now, the evil that has been trailing him for so long. So we see what looks to be a mom and daughter, and they're kind of turned on by the idea of Ash's chainsaw hand, which is pretty hilarious and honestly a little disturbing as well. It doesn't look like we're gonna see this disturbing scene play out, however, as the evil has already shown up. And we get our first look at an actual portal in the show, which was a big part of part 2 and part 3 as far as traveling through time. And it looks like that's actually how the evil is going to be coming to him this time. I'm not sure if it's just another instance of them being possessed by deadites, or if we're actually going to see a monster of some kind coming out of the portal. I kind of hope so. That'd be cool to see a new creature, maybe. And then we see our first shot of Kelly and Pablo in the trailer, and actually they're in Jacksonville with Ash, which I found a little bit surprising, actually, considering where they were at the end of Season 1. I figured they would have gone their own separate ways, and they seemed like they weren't really happy with Ash's ultimate choice at the end of the finale, resetting everything and going into Jacksonville and all that stuff. And then we see it's like a huge lightning bolt that comes down. We've never seen any effects like this in the show, and maybe, once the lightning bolt comes down, that the creature is that's how it's transported, is through that kind of form. I don't know, but it looks really cool and is a very different visual thing than we've seen from when the evil shows up so far in the show. Obviously, Ash's dream world of avoiding the evil entirely in Jacksonville did not last very long, and I'm not exactly sure what circumstances lead him to this, but it seems like one of the main things about this season is going to be him going back to his hometown in Michigan, which is a really exciting thing for them to explore with the show. And then we see a heroic looking shot of Ash with a voiceover saying he's going to end this horse pucky once and for all. So it seems like there's got to be some specific driving force that's bringing them back to Michigan. And the next shot we see is Ash's house, and we see some graffiti written on the wall that says Ashy Slashy. And his home has definitely seen better days. The place looks abandoned basically at this point, and they're exploring the house. We see him come to a door that says Cheryl on it, and we also see scribbled in the corner, keep out. I'm not really sure what the original relationship between Ash and his sister was, but it seems like things have been kind of off kilter for a long time, even well before we got to anything at the cabin. In the next shot, we see flames shooting out of an incinerator, and it looks like it's in the same scene that Ruby first reaches out to Ash. This is a really interesting thing that they did with Season 2, as I originally thought that Ruby was kind of going to be the main villain, but it actually seems they've turned her into more of a reluctant ally. She's gotten in too deep with this evil plan of hers, and obviously she doesn't have any control anymore. I was also surprised that Ruby actually lost the book. I'm sure that's going to be a big sticking point for the season, is that she actually needs to team up with Ash in order to get the book back to send all these evil bastards back to hell. And then we're reintroduced to the same creatures that we saw Ruby unleashing out of the Book of the Dead in the season finale last year. These are the children that she was talking about, and now they're all out there in the world causing absolute havoc. It looks like they're a little more advanced than the children versions that we saw last season. They may be more of a formidable threat, but not much for Ash as he blows the hell out of one of them and shoots it in the face. So, you can't really argue with a boomstick. Ash is obviously annoyed that Ruby has brought him here and is reluctant to offer any help. Another thing that we see that's really cool, only for a moment in this scene, is that Ash actually has the Kandarian dagger mounted to the bottom of his boomstick. Now that's a deadly combo weapon. I love to see him at some point, and I'm sure they're going to have this where he blows the hell out of one deadite and then stabs another one, killing it with the dagger. It's going to be cool. And then things kick up once the old school jams start up and we see Ash and the gang kind of suiting up for a showdown. Ash mentions that they tried peace and now they're going to do it his way. I'm sure that means slicing a lot of people into tiny pieces. That'd be my guess. We start getting a few more quick cuts as Ace of Spades continues, and it all just looks pretty great. Oh no, yeah, poor Pablo. Pablo's facing off against the Deadite chick and then gets his nuts grabbed, and there is some bone crunching going on. That does not sound pleasant. And then the next shot we have what we saw a little bit of in the previous 30-second spot in a shot or two, where there's this other guy who has a puppet that looks like himself. But in this shot, we're seeing Ash, and he's looking kind of a little worse for wear. He's beaten up, and he's wearing like kind of a Long John style shirt, and he has a little Ash puppet on his hand. I don't know what is going on here, but it looks pretty cute, I guess, more than anything. And then the first reaction that I had when we get to this next shot is that another black cop? Is that really where they're going with this? I don't know that she's a cop, but I'm afraid that it's going to be an Amanda syndrome all over again. And are they actually going to use this character in a more interesting way of the plot? I guess we'll have to see, but right now we have no idea, I'm afraid. There's a quick shot of the book that we see, and there's this hand that's kind of coming over it. But this is the only time that we see the book, so obviously there's maybe some other malevolent force that actually is even more evil than Ruby last time, and that's who they're having to fend off against in this season. Oh yeah, it's Inside Out Skin Man. That guy doesn't look happy either. We have a scene that's in a jail cell, and there's this guy whose entire skin is just gone. It's really insane looking. And then Ruby shows up and saves the day, and she's looking a lot more dapper and has a cool outfit and her own boomstick and everything. And when she comes roaring in, something has already gone down, because this cop over here, he's got bandages on his leg and he's all bloody. So I'm sure that there was some initial attack already, and then they didn't believe that it was really this, Deadite thing. But as it is in most of these cases, they find out too late, and then they get their heads eaten. That's just kind of how it goes. Then we have our first look at Lee Majors as Ash's dad, and he's riding a Bronco, and he brings a girl up on there with him, and it looks like he's going to work very well as Ash's dad. If you need any more evidence that it's going to work, the glance that you see Lee Majors do over to Ash, that sold me right there. And immediately after that, we see Ted Raimi for the first time, and he's completely different than I would have ever expected him to look. He's got, his hair pushed forward, and it's kind of like greasy and with like blonde, bleach blonde look to it. It looks like he runs a bar in Ash's old town, obviously, or maybe he's just a waiter there. I originally had wanted the same comic energy that Bruce and Ted had in Army of Darkness, where Ted is just kind of very uninterested in what Bruce is saying, but I actually like this version of a character even more because he's super excited to see Ash, and they have this kind of like special handshake they do or something. I don't know, it's really cool. It looks very exciting just seeing him on screen for the first time. At this point, things kind of go into overdrive. I can't really focus on everything because it's almost too quick cuts to actually even tell what's going on in some cases. We see this one Deadite of some kind that's vomiting black goo over a girl, and I can't tell, it might be Ruby. She's covered in just too much stuff. There's too much oil or whatever all over her face. And we have this one practical shot of this guy getting his face split open by a tire. Again, it's actually practical. And it seems like a lot of with the gore this time, they're like, okay, you want practical gore, you want blood, we're gonna give it to you in so much, like you can't even believe how much blood we've got ready pumping to the sink for you. I was really glad to see this one part too with Kelly with this automatic weapon. That was a real highlight for me. I think it was in the military episode where she first got a hold of some big firearms, and that led to some pretty hilarious stuff. Kelly with an automatic weapon, good to go. Another awesome shot of Bruce in that jail scene, and he chops right down with his chainsaw. And there is somebody in the background here that's kind of watching in horror. I'm not sure if it's the same other character we saw shooting the gun, Amanda 2.0. I'm not sure. I can't really tell because there's a lot of fog and stuff going on. Maybe she's another officer. I'd be so surprised if they did that, but it kind of makes sense in the context of the footage. And then we see Ted Raimi getting attacked. I hope he's okay, but it seems like it's just going to be kind of him getting brought into the fold as far as the evil and stuff like that, and kind of forced into being part of their crew, you know what I'm saying? We see Kelly getting attacked by another Children of the Book. It seems almost like they're going to be using that as kind of the main thing that everyone's going to be fending off against this season. Maybe even more so than the Deadites, but this actual evil force that Ruby specifically let out in the end of last season. They got to clean up her mess, basically. Oh, we see her getting tossed into the pit. And yeah, more sweet blood there, looking good, looking real nice. It's like, you chop an arm off, naturally the arm's just gonna start wafting through the air with blood just shooting out everywhere. Yeah, he keeps chopping. He's chopping her good. Oh, there goes her head. As a lot of these Deadites tend to do, once they're only a head, they start to get even more mouthy than before. They always talk trash when they're completely spread apart and decapitated. But it sounds like, again, that whatever the official original force of the evil, maybe the other dark ones are the actual people that are kind of against Ash at this point, are saying they're gonna kill him just like the others. Ash has heard this crap before and he blows her damn head off. That's kind of our final triumphant shot for the trailer there, is this shot of Bruce covered in so much blood. There's blood on the ceiling, and then he shoots her in the head and blood shoots out. It's just fucking blood overload. It's amazing. We have the shot of a corpse on the toilet, and Kelly is both amazed and disgusted by what's happened. And that's kind of how I feel about this whole trailer. They're able to really push the envelope with the gore. I can see why this was actually banned from going at the Comic-Con. It's pretty over the top, but that's exactly what you would want from this show. It has to kind of take it to the next level, and it seems like they've really done a great job with that so far with the footage. There's a shot of the Delta that looks really sweet too. I mean, there's this like red haze going on over everything and flames kind of shooting out from behind it, but it looks really intense. And then this other shot, this is the one that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not even sure what's happening here. But Pablo is in this field, there's fire everywhere, and he's got blood coming out of the side of his mouth. I mean, is this another ceremony and he kind of gets sucked into it like what happened last season? Poor Pablo kind of needs a break though. He's been through the ringer already. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of blood, folks. They're kind of saying that, like, don't worry, we got blood. There's plenty of blood. All right, so yeah, like I was saying, I mean, again, the trailer looks awesome. I'm so stoked for the next season. It seems like season 2 is going to be even better than season 1. They've really found out how to kind of make what works and really accentuate the gore and everything. And I mean, they don't have to establish the universe. They can kind of develop it further, which was my only real complaint, is that it didn't feel fleshed out enough. But now they can spend that time in season 2 going deeper into the characters and their origins and stuff like that, as far as going back to Ash's hometown. All right, so what did you guys think about the trailer, and how excited are you for season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead? Let me know down in the comments below. And it won't be too long till you guys see me again. I'll be back tomorrow with the review of the brand new movie Lights Out, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to stay tuned to FoundFlix for all the best in horror entertainment.